Hello and welcome to Rad Class. In this week's episode, I will be talking more about schools. Schools are starting again, and I made an episode about stuff that needed to change in the new school year last week. But I got some amazing comments on Reddit, and I thought it was a good idea to actually make a comments edition about this. And if enough new comments appear on the new posts I make on my social sites, I will make a third episode with some of your comments in them. But all comments from today is from Reddit, where there's a subreddit called Schools. So a user talked about how it would be nice to have more sports and reading in class, and it would truly be good for the kids. Where I live, we actually have rules that state that kids need to move a certain amount of hours per day in the school system. Sadly, some schools bend the rules by saying it fits what a weekly gym class actually has in time. But yeah, moving around is good for the kids. It can help them to better focus, and it's the same with reading. By making reading something you do on a daily basis, it can teach kids to immerse themselves into texts, and we can teach different strategies that can help you down the line. So you have a better starting point when you have to read stuff on a higher level. It can be done, but it is hard to do because not all subjects actually fit you moving around. But there is ways to get around this. It just takes a lot of preparation and new ideas to actually find out how the teaching you're doing can be done while moving around. Then the next thing is a user who said, please repeat what is being taught. And repeating is a good thing to make sure that everyone gets it and everyone will be on the same level. And by repeating it, even if no one asks, you can actually help the kids who are afraid to ask, because they feel like they will be treated dumb if they ask about something that the rest of the class actually do understand. And since all children learn in a different pace, we all learn at a different pace, we actually need to remember to repeat more often than we do. Sadly, it can be hard to find time to repeat, since all governments have set a standard on what needs to be learned during a school year. And if you use a lot of time on one topic, you will have less time on the next topic. So it's a hard thing to actually find a golden way to do this, unless the government slacks down on the standards a bit. So it actually is the government who needs to change, and then the teachers change afterwards, so that we don't pressure students to learn more and more in less and less time, as we currently are doing. And that means that when kids get behind today, they really get behind because we just keep going on. And to follow this up, a user said that getting behind will kill your lust for learning. And it's true. This user said that he or she was behind in reading and had to read books that was way under this class reading level, and it made the person feel dumb. And I really do understand that feeling, because as a dyslexic person, I know the pain, not from reading, but from writing. Always getting a lot of faults, and I didn't really write on the same level as the rest of my class, but I was expecting that I could write like the rest of my class, making me feel dumb whenever I got something wrong than the rest of the class actually did without faults. And then when I began working in schools, I actually saw kids who were forced to read something that you would read in first grade, even though you might have been in fourth or fifth grade. And it really does make you feel put out in front of the rest of the class and make you feel dumb, because you have to read something that they have not read for years, and it makes you feel stupid. And then you kind of lose the lust to actually learn this, because you just feel like you will never learn it, that you are stupid. And it's a hard thing to juggle, that we have to give room to the kids who are behind without making them feel dumb. But we also have to make room for the kids who are ahead, so they don't get bored. And by doing differentiating teaching, you can actually try and make something that will be good for the kids who are ahead and the kids who are a bit behind without making them feel dumb. But it does take a lot of time to actually do this, especially if you're newly educated. And sadly, not all schools give you the time to do it, but it's something that we really need to do, because it will make a classroom a better place, because we will take care of all the kids and not just the kids who are doing okay. Since most people understand that people who are behind have a hard time and feel dumb and stuff like that, but kids who are ahead actually begins to also lose the lust of learning because they find it all too easy, so it will become very demotivating for them. Then one user said we have to do more about mental health, and that is true all over the board, and it's something that I really do understand due to my education and my health problems, and it's really something that we need to be able to talk about and be taught about, since if you ain't there mentally, then you won't be able to learn or function in class because of the problems that you have. And it was actually focused for my bachelor papers, how we sadly have such a focus on the grades later down the line that we kind of forget to actually look at how the kids are doing, how they are mentally and physically. But for some reason we keep saying to kids that they have to get the best grades, and we kind of measure their worth in their grades instead of what they actually are as a person and what they're doing as a person. So we need to be able to help them and change this so that down the line we don't have kids with that many problems, because we as adults have made a system that can actually help kids with mental problems who are having a hard time, so that we understand them as teachers, and so we can make the school understand them and the kids understand them, so we can have all of us in the same space and all have a good time and all be thriving, and not have kids who are way behind because of something simple that actually could have been talked about, but the teachers didn't know how to do it. And by not helping them, then they will misthrive, and then they will begin to not keep up in school, and then they will get down and down and down and down, and it becomes this loop of pain where they get more and more behind in school and feel worse and worse and worse and more worthless. So yeah, it's really important to actually have resources to handle mental health, and it really can do a lot to make schools better. Now the last comment is one who said, let's make it all online, and for some reason it is downvoted in the comments, and I do understand why people want to go back to school, but I also understand this person, because I actually had kids who performed way better in class when it was made online, when they didn't have to go to class because they didn't have the best time in that class. So being able to sit at home, doing the studies, doing the class things, made them able to cope better. And when we started school up again and they had to be in small groups, they also handled it way better. So some kids can actually benefit a lot from smaller groups and online learning, but most kids actually want to go back to school to be social with their classmates. They want to be in the classroom setting to also encourage them to learn, because when you're sitting at home, you might be more encouraged to actually just look at YouTube or something instead of listening on what's going on. So you will get behind in learning. Also, some students just need to be in a classroom setting to actually learn the best. They need to sit there and see stuff being written on the board and reading it down on paper and writing about it. And that is the way they learn. So it's really a two-sided issue, where some kids do learn better in classrooms and others don't. And it would be nice if we at some point could reach a classroom where everyone actually had a good time in the classroom and felt okay and was thriving in school. But it's a long way, because we are all different and we all have different needs and different ways of learning. So it's an ongoing struggle for teachers to actually find the best middle way to try and get as many kids going as they possibly can. And sadly, we do lose some students along the way, and we often don't give the time from the government or the leaders to actually try and take the kids along with us, or find a way to make them get into learning again. So that was all the comments on Reddit that I put on here, who was put up in time for me to actually write the script for this episode. So if you want your comments to have a chance of become Commodus Edition number 2, then feel free to comment all on my social sites: YouTube, Reddit, Instagram, Facebook, or Patreon. And if I get enough good comments, who I haven't already covered, or I get some new information, then I will be happy to make a third podcast episode about this, because we need to make schools better, and the way to make schools better is to talk about it and to work with it. So if you like this episode, feel free to share it around, and feel free to share it with your teachers or leaders of the school so they can get an idea on what you as students want to change. This has been Rant Class. Bye.